So Curtis and I first met at our high school in New Jersey.
I remember seeing Lauren in the cafeteria, and she had a light blue shirt on and big brown eyes, curly hair, and I just fell in love instantly.
We were married at a beautiful bed and breakfast in South Jersey, in the area where we both grew up. We had our wedding outside, and a wonderful reception with, just all our friends and family. It was a really great time.
Life for us was everything you would want. We were both working in the city with good jobs, and we had two labs that we would run off on the weekends up into the country.
Around 2010, it was 2 weeks before I gave birth to our second child, I was laid off from my sales position. And I had, up until that point, placed a huge piece of my identity, really, in my career and my achievements. So when that was stripped from me, it left me feeling pretty lost.
I actually said, "Oh, good, you lost your job. Well, isn't that convenient? You're going to have a child in 2 weeks, and you wanted to stay home with them. This is a perfect recipe." But that wasn't the kind of emotional support she was looking for when she identified so much in her career.
I was at a point where I was pretty desperate, I think, to fill some emotional needs that I was having. I was also at the time on my own kind of spiritual quest, opening myself to everything and accepting everything. I started asking myself, well, if my needs aren't being met within my marriage, then really what's wrong with attempting to meet those needs outside of my marriage? And I actually started to truly believe that was a more enlightened way.
It made sense, it sounded like it had its merits, and she couldn't fulfill everything that I was lacking within myself. So how could I fulfill everything that she was lacking or looking for? So maybe we could make that up through other relationships and whatnot.
We entered a very, very dark time in our relationship where we were faced with the reality of the consequences of this type of exploration and just allowing these things into our marriage. We were not sure at times that we would survive. We held on really tight because we just couldn't imagine not being a family. We had beautiful children, but the reality was there was just a lot of pain and anger and unforgiveness. I remember picking up my Bible that had been literally collecting dust on my shelf for years, and I started reading it, and it was as if the words were alive and that they were talking about me. So once I started hearing these truths, I just naturally started sharing them with Curtis.
And I didn't have a history with Jesus whatsoever, but what he did on the cross for me, the level of sacrifice and giving, it just gave me the courage to just sort of display those same sort of qualities for the sake of our family.
Looking back on our story with the hindsight we have now, we were looking for love. We wanted to feel accepted. We wanted to feel known. We wanted to ultimately be forgiven. All of those things are only found in Jesus, as we know now.
That's what was missing in our lives, to fill that void that everyone's trying to fill.
It's perfect. You can't find perfection in human relationships. That expectation can't be put on anything or anyone outside of God. We took a crooked path, and that's our story, and we wouldn't change it because it landed us here, but we would certainly like it to be less of a bumpy ride for our kids.
Really cute to see the kids, pray and just start to develop that relationship. It gives us hope to see that.
just recently, Curtis and I started leading and hosting a weekly exchange group here at our home. And it really feels like an honor to be able to do that. We received so much from beginning to attend exchange groups shortly after moving to Keene. So to be able to now open up our home and sacrifice our time so that others can hopefully experience Jesus in the very real way that we did is really such a blessing.